All right. So, welcome, True North Insight. My name's Jill Davey, and I'm one of the Dharma teachers with True North Insight. And this is March 31st, 2021, April 1st, tomorrow. And the theme of the talk and the practice tonight is on not knowing. Yeah. And so this I usually have to wait to see what I'm going to teach, to see what's alive for me, what's standing out, what's needing attention. And so what's a recent experience for me has really been standing out because I'll describe more in a moment. So there's a show I saw recently on Crave TV. It's a channel you subscribe to. It wasn't the extra Crave where they try to get more money, for the HBO and everything. It's just a regular Crave subscription. So if you have that, you'll be able to watch it. But you can also watch it. I was searching there's ways you can just stream it, and I'll put it in the chat for people here on the Zoom, and if you're watching on YouTube after, I'll put it down below. But it's called In and of Itself. I saw it on Crave TV, but there's other ways to see it, and maybe some of you saw it off Broadway because it ran for 522 sold out off-Broadway performances of this wild show in and of itself. And the creator and the star is Derek Delgadio. Derek Delgadio. So I've put that in the chat here as well. So he describes himself as a storyteller and a conceptual magician. And some reviewers or whatever call it a magic show. It is not. I would not call it a magic show, because I think of a magic show as sawing people in half and people disappearing, or making birds come out of hats or something, or is nothing like that. And yet in some ways it is. So, but it's actually about something some of us were just talking about. It's about identity. This show is about identity and about our preconceived notions of each other and of ourselves and of what we're experiencing in the world. And you've experienced, and we can see how our preconceived notions, even if we look around our screen here, for those of us on the Zoom call, these little boxes with beautiful beings. We can see a little bit of your background. We can see each other's faces, and we might notice preconceived ideas that come up of who somebody is, or even something about their life. And actually, it's awesome to know we're totally wrong. We actually know so little about each other, and sometimes so little about ourselves. So when interviewers press this amazing creator, Derek Delgadio, about what is it you do for a living, because he's not fond of them calling it a magic show. He doesn't call himself a magician. He kind of squirms, and what he comes down to is he says, I make things, and I try to use the skills that I have to reveal more than I conceal. That's a good job title right there. That's a good thing for any of us to do, to use the skills I have to reveal more than I conceal. I like that. So he's using his skills of being able to hide what he's doing, of what we would call magic, and his I think it's called prestidigitation, the way he can make things appear and disappear with his hands, and his skills that he's learned. And he uses them to reveal rather than not so much conceal. And so he reveals in this show a lot of inquiry about identity. He shares a lot in the show also about it's really a biographical story. It's not a story. It's really a biography, that's the word. Or a memoir. So he shares a lot about his own journey of understanding and seeing his own identities and where those have limited him and also released him. He shares in this show about the things that made him who he is. Part of that being the homophobia that his mother faced when he was a young boy, and it's not like a usual magic show has what's called prattle, where they just kind of keep things moving fast and they're saying a lot of stuff to distract you from the magic that they're doing, whereas it's like big silences and he talks slow and pauses and really speaks from the heart, like he looks like he's on the verge of tears through most of it, and sometimes he is in tears. Yeah, and so he's the reason he's asking himself, how can I use what I conceal to reveal things instead of just take? Because he used to make a living from ripping people off. He was a card shark, a card dealer in gambling, and so the dealer, like he could give you any hand that he wanted to. You wouldn't have a clue. You can see him do this on the stage. And then he has this experience where he realizes, he used to just call them what do they have a derogatory name for the people they're ripping off. But then at one point he realized what was going on and he stopped and then, changed his skills to reveal things and to help us see things differently. So he does some crazy stuff in this show that I just and so for me, the reason this is an insight, something I'm talking about in a Dharma context, is because after the show I had a really visceral experience, like a somatic, felt, embodied experience of being out at sea. No ground, of being and I could feel myself grasping, trying to figure it out. How did he do that? I felt in the body this sense of groundlessness, and I was watching how the mind was saying, let's figure this out. Like I could get into Googling it, how do they do this, and I could see how much I wanted to know and to grasp onto some ground. Of course, it's not a deep and emotional groundlessness like some of us were sharing, are those experiences of when the rug is pulled out from underneath you in life, which we've all had to different degrees. But it was a real felt experience of watching that clinging wanting to happen. Delgadio says it this way: that moment of being deceived, of having the rug pulled out from under you, it shows you the fragility of your reality. The solid ground that you were walking on a moment ago is all of a sudden much looser. And that's something that will wake you up. It really does. Or it can. And so the reality is that we don't know. We desperately want to know. The ego wants to know what's going to be happening and how am I going to be and how's everything else going to be. This is just like a natural survival impulse. I want to know. It's a safety response. There's nothing wrong with it. But we just want to be aware when that's happening. But we don't really know. Like in the next moment, my Zoom could crash and I'll be booted out, and then I'll be in a state of chaos and panic. Oh no, they're all there. I got to get back on. Or the electricity goes out. Or in the next day, who knows what could happen with my health or any of the dear ones that I know, or our environment in the next month, in the next years. I mean, as we were sharing, we couldn't have more real life examples in this past year and every day that the reality is not knowing. That's right. We can see this. Like, we don't know. And some people are really living with this in such a vivid and visceral way, as you were sharing, of like every day. I don't know. Wow. And that's something that will really wake you up. And this is something that the Buddha awoke to and taught us. Awoke to the truth, the direct experience, knowing, not knowing like a book knowing or like someone told me it's true, but the truth that we feel and have experienced in ourselves, which is an insight, a different way of knowing than thinking about. The truth of impermanence. And the truth of that all things, including this thing, are impermanent and are unsubstantial. So unsubstantial means that it's the seeing, the really, really knowing, understanding that what I take to be solid and permanent and separate that's not how things are. That everything is unsubstantial in that it's not separate, isolated, permanent me or you or anything else. We're all affecting each other. We're all conditioning different things arising and passing, completely interrelated. So all things are impermanent and unsubstantial, and therefore are unsatisfactory. So we can't rely on things that are constantly changing, things that are constantly affected by everything else. We can't cling to, hold on to what we want so much, and we can't get rid of what we don't want. Much of it is beyond our control. These are the three characteristics of all things that the Buddha awoke to, and are part of what we awake to and learn how to be skillful with. And I realize that even in describing these things, it can feel like the ground is being pulled out. Like, what now? That's too much. I don't want to dwell on that everything's like beyond my control, because that's like most days, is how can I control me, and especially you and you and you, especially all the other people. We're out constantly trying to figure out and get things to be how we want them to be. And this creates a lot of pain. And it's a big waste of energy mostly. So this, all right, now I have to qualify that. So I am not meaning that we don't also act and respond in the world and get involved and take action. That is not futile. We want to do that in a skillful way, not in a reactive way, which is what I was meaning. So the true illusion, so the reality is seeing the true nature of things, seeing, knowing, really understanding. And the illusion, the true illusion, is the grasping onto certainty. That's deluded. It's an illusion to think that we can control and grasp onto things being a certain way, certainty a certain way, and yet we'll keep trying. And so there's two helpful ways to practice here, or maybe helpful, I hope it's helpful, is kind of moving in between, you kind of almost like a little teeter-totter between not knowing and really practicing. I don't know. Check out, how often do you say that to yourself or to other people especially? I don't know. It's really helpful. It's a great thing to say. I recommend trying it on. I don't know. Let me check it out. I'll see what I can find out. Or, I don't know. What do you think? Boy, be a different world if more folks said, I don't know. Because I'll tell you, I go through most days like I know. I know how it should be. I know how I want it to be. I know how I'm going to try and get it to be. Constantly. Gil Fronsdale, who's a wonderful Dharma teacher, says it this way: a simple but profound way to practice not knowing is to add "I don't know" to every thought. This is most effective in meditation when the mind is quieted down. So our practice here is called shamatha vipassana, and we cultivate calm, stability, and then vipassana is insight, the seeing the true nature of things. And so he's saying this is most effective after we've calmed down a bit, which we're going to practice. And then he says, so for example, if the judgment arises, this is a good meditation session, then add the thought, I don't know. Or this is a bad meditation session. Respond to yourself, I don't know. Follow the thought, I can't manage this. Or I need, or especially I am, with I don't know. He goes on to say, like the bumper sticker that says question authority, the phrase I don't know questions the authority of everything we think. And you may be feeling like, as I read that from Gil Fronsdale, you know, when I think I am, and then add this response to ourselves, I don't know. We may feel like we're overcome by that. Like at this stage of what's happening for us is like actually There's too much, I don't know. I'm completely immobilized by I don't know. I don't know who I am, what I'm supposed to be doing, why I'm here, what are my next steps. Like, we can be completely overcome. When that's happening, it's called something else. It's called doubt. It's the hindrance of doubt. There's 5 hindrances in meditation, and doubt is a very different felt experience. Doubt brings agitation, confusion, anxiety. This is the doubt hindrance, and it feels like a contraction, like, I don't know, what should I do? What am I doing? Who am I? Like, it's just that kind of contracting and worrying and confusion, agitation. It's a painful state. What we're pointing to here in this practice tonight with don't know mind feels like, what? That's what it feels like. What? What is this really? I don't know. It has an openness, a curiosity, sometimes awe, of like wonderment. That's don't know mind. That's like, hang out with kids. They'll show you what don't know mind is. Like, what? I was watching a video of friends, little toddler person, and they had made homemade Play-Doh for the first time. And she's making a little video. And in this little person, their hand pressed into this big blob, and they're like, what? And then watching them like pull out the chunks and it's sticking to the fingers, and they're tasting it. It's like really salty. It's the homemade stuff with flour and salt, not the Play-Doh stuff. And like, whoa. I don't know what this is. It's crazy. That's the energy and brightness of one of the 7 factors of awakening, which is called Dhammavicaya, investigation. I won't go too far into that, but it's a really important quality of meditation to be curious. What is this really that I'm calling my bad knee? Or what is this I'm calling my anxiety? What is this? It's a curiosity. What is it really? What does it feel like? And so we're moving between don't know and what do I know? What do I know? So it's opening up, just opening, loosening, letting go, a little bit of contraction around what we know, and then saying, what do I know? Oh, I know I can feel my toes are on the ground right now. And I can feel heat in my cheeks. And I can feel an in-breath. I know that. The body is here and now. The mind, not so much. Mind is usually in the past or the future, or embellishing the present. The body is here and now, and we know. We can feel it directly. It's a direct, like, nobody can talk you out of it. Say, no, that's not happening. It's like, what? Yes, it is. That's your direct experience. You know that. And so we kind of move back and forth between, I don't know, especially when it's a mind thing that we're contracting around. I don't know, maybe not. Oh, what do I know? Yeah, that was a breath in. I know that. What else? That might be all for now. Yes, it is. We're going to have a practice now so we can check it out for ourselves. I wish I had some Play-Doh. I would have sent everybody a big blob of Play-Doh to play with. Make some Play-Doh. Yeah, so we'll have a practice now and feel when the system, each person here, each being watching, needs to discern for ourselves what is our self-regulating that's needed here. For some of us, we really need to lean more into what do I know, feel the ground, and others, like if we're just gonna really discern what do you need, and if you feel a sense of panic or freeze response or flight, activation, then that's too much don't know. you know we want to just attend to it and then feel grounded again. Okay, so for this practice, I've got a pillow behind my low back to help me sit up away from the back of the chair, but if your body needs some rest, you could lay down. If you're really sleepy, you could practice standing. If you prefer turning away from the camera, that's great, or turn your camera off if you prefer. You might like to dim your lights. So just take a few moments to get what you need to be really comfortable, alert, awake. This is a practice of awakening. So you're muted, so you're welcome to take any sighing breaths that you need. I like to take that huge bubble of words and just put them into a bubble, into a balloon or a bubble, and then let it float away or let it pop. Whatever is needed to land for you will land or will return. You don't need to remember or hold on to any of that. And so when you've come into some stillness with your posture, and then see what posture for your eyes is helpful for you. So for some of us, closing the eyes helps us to turn our attention inward, or attending to different type of seeing. For other systems, if your system is very activated, it might be helpful for you to have your eyes open and seeing the room that you're in. And for others, there's an in-between place where the eyes are very slightly open and just bringing in a bit of light. See what do you need? And as the eyes find their resting place, a sense of width across the forehead, softness at the temples. And then feeling into the area of the face, mouth. And is there any tension here that isn't needed in this moment? You don't need to drop anything or relax anything. Just decide and see what's needed right now. Is there anything that's not needed that can just let go? As As the face becomes peaceful with an inner expression of peace, not an outer one to please anyone else. The sides and back of the neck can lengthen. The beautiful bones of the shoulders, the back of the shoulders sliding down. The weight of those shoulder bones sliding towards the elbows and into relaxed hands. Feeling the support of the spine. And checking out if there's some softness needed or that might feel helpful in this moment in the areas of the heart center or the belly center. Width or softness. Sometimes the inner layers of belly muscles or chest muscles that can be a little wider, softer. As the upper body relaxes and comes into stillness, we can almost feel like sand in an hourglass, that we feel more weightedness come down through and into the pelvis, legs, and feet. Grounded, supported, connected. And we might float that as a knowing. Yeah, what is known? I can directly experience body sitting or reclining right now. And there's direct felt experience of pressure, contact, sensations of texture of different places on the body that are touching clothing or cushions or ground. We can feel different temperatures of different parts of the body, the fingertips or toes or nose, different direct present moment felt experience that may feel different than back of the knees or armpits. Another direct experience of sensation in this moment is our movements that are happening in the body. Movements internally, movements on the outer surface of the body that we can feel from breathing. The eyes are moving. There's lots of different sensations of movement. Some of the inner sensations in the body of movement might include vibration or tingling, pulse, wave-like sensations. There is a ground under you, a ground of knowing. So in these next few minutes of silence, just opening to what you are knowing right now. All these different sensations are coming and going. I picture it like a magic 8-ball that different things float into that little window and then float away. And so in this whole field of the body, like a sphere of attention, different things float to the surface of knowing. And they're there for a few moments, and then something else might show. If nothing else is standing out in that moment, we just open again to the whole body. So I'll just offer a few examples of that, and then I'll be quiet and practice with you. Tingling, pressure, in-breath, texture. So you don't need to look for anything or feel anything in particular or feel everything at once. Just letting awareness be open, curious, wide and bright. In these next few moments, just see what is showing up and passing away in your field of attention. The same way that these sensations are coming and going, coming to the forefront and passing. Breath is coming and going, and also sounds are coming and going. Sometimes my voice arising and passing. Maybe sounds in the space where you live, or sounds from inside your body, or sounds from outside. We're not controlling them or getting rid of them. Even sounds that seem more constant, we can notice have waves within them. All these things are known by your direct experience. There's a ground in the not knowing. There's a ground in the ungroundedness of directly feeling and knowing everything's coming and going, and everything's interconnected, conditioned, affected by infinite variables. All these sensations, these breaths, these sounds, from this ground of what is known directly, unequivocally, we can also open to watching thoughts arising and passing through like a bubble. The content of the thought does not matter. If it feels helpful to you, if a thought is sticking around or feels a bit sticky, you could try on that practice of saying, "I don't know," after every thought. If this begins to feel too ungrounded, come back to what you do know. Feel the body, sensations, or open your eyes. And just move back and forth between knowing and not knowing. Like the conceptual magician Derek Delgadio, using the skills that we have to reveal more than we conceal. not knowing, coming from this place of wonder and awe, curiosity, not from contracting and trying to figure anything out. Just curiosity, oh, how is it really? What is felt? What is the direct present moment experience? What am I taking for granted and not really paying attention to? Some people are living with the direct experience of feeling the preciousness of each inhalation and each exhalation. Is this something that some of us have fallen asleep to, no longer in awe of? The wonder and awe of having a body that's here right now, with breath, with awareness. How wondrous, how mysterious, how curious. In these last 2 minutes here of silence, notice if there's any boredom. And we'll end with this poem from Rosemary Watola Tromer called Following the Queen's Lead. And this is inspired by a line from Alice in Wonderland, which is certainly about wonder and awe and curiosity. Why, sometimes I've believed as many as 6 impossible things before breakfast. Alice in Wonderland. And Rosemary continues, I put off breakfast for hours, hoping it will allow more time for impossible thoughts to come. They trickle in. World peace, inner peace, healing, pure love, an abundance of unrestricted hours. Then, stymied, I put off lunch, I put off snack, and just before dinner, I met a 6th impossible thought. Accepting the world the way it is, falling in love anyway. Who wants to believe in that? But acceptance shines through the window like a full moon, as if it's the only thing that makes sense. Eventually the night is so bright, anything seems possible. Thank you, Andrea, for being here. So I'll just share that poem in the chat. Where is it? Here it is. And then so for people that are joining us on the recording on YouTube, check the links below. The poem will be there, and the link to this show, or about it anyways, and links to support True North Insight or myself to continue offer teachings. Thank you for that.